Hey guys, what's going on today? So we're back. We just got done doing a couple of videos. We did upper lower control arms on the MAXX. We did inner outer half shafts on the front axles. Now I'm going to show you guys how to do the rear, so let's hop into it. So let's go ahead. This is a brand new truck. It was intended to be a gift for someone and it fell through for Christmas. So I'm going to be just using it to show you guys how to do some stuff. I've also got a red wide max kit here. Probably going to be installing that, show you guys how to do that. But for now, let's get to the job. So today we're just going to go, or on this video, we're just going to go ahead and replace the rear the rear inner and outer axle shafts. I'm only going to do one because the other side is the exact same. I will show you how to take it apart step by step, and I will show you how to put it right back together step by step. So first things first, let's go ahead and take off this little guy's back wheel right here. So tools today. You're going to need possibly a flathead screwdriver. I like to keep a pair of channel vice grips on hand. You're going to need a 1.5. You're going to need a 2.5 millimeter Allen, and you can use a hand driver, or you can use your little Dewalt, your Hypertough, whatever you want to use, whatever you're comfortable with. That's plenty good. So let's get going. I'm going to pull this back tire off. I'm going to put the nut right inside there and just set it over here out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and pull the back bumper off. You may not need to. I'm going to do it just so that you guys can see a little bit better because these camera angles can get tight. So let's go ahead and pull this back bumper off. It's just 3 screws. It's just 3 screws. It's not a big deal. So if you want to go ahead and take it off for a little more working room, you're more than welcome to. You have to take off this one, and then you've got 2 there. You got 1 there, and you got 1 right there. Those are 2.5, so chuck up your 2.5 and let's pull it off. Okay. Pulling this bumper off may make it a little bit easier to get to the little pin or the set screw that holds the inner half shaft in. So I'm going to take these screws all the way out. Okay, and that bumper just pulls right off. Now you've got 2 different size screws. You've got a really long one, and then these 2 are the same. The 2 you probably gather they go here. The long one goes right here. So what you can do is just take and put those screws right back where they belong. That way there's less confusion upon assembly. However, this is pretty much all that you're going to take off. So there's not a lot of screws you're going to have laying around. Okay, I think that's pretty good there. So let's go ahead and start getting this guy apart. So go ahead and chuck up your 2.5. And I'm going to go ahead and remove the upper arm because it just makes it easier. You can just pull this pin out and fold that down and get it out. But for video's sake and for you guys' sake, I'm going to pull this upper arm all the way off. It's literally 1 extra pin. It's 5 seconds. You may as well pull it for yourself. It makes it easier. So let's go ahead. You've got a pin here on the upper inner. So we'll pull that. You've got an upper outer pin right here on top of the knuckle. We're going to pull that. Go ahead and chuck up your 2. We're going to pull this lower shock screw out right here. Okay, you leave all that in there for now. Okay, now you've got 1 more on the lower facing the front of the truck, the 2.5 millimeter also. It's right there. So I'm going to chuck my 2.5 up in my little Hypertough because that is going to give me the room to get in between the front wheel and this pin here. So I'm sorry that I'm all up in the way. So we'll pull that one out. Okay, and I think you guys can see everything the best right there. So look, we've got all of our pins and everything pulled out. So now let's go ahead and just literally pull them out. We had them loose. So we're going to start with our upper inner pin back here on the upper A-arm. We'll take it out. That's going to be the longest one you're going to take out in this job. So there's your inner upper. Now we're going to pull out the outer upper. It's going to be the shortest one you take out. And then you're going to have, now your arm, see that arm just falls right off. There's your upper arm. You can lay it aside. And now, right here you've got this pin peeking out. So go ahead and pull it. It's going to be the second longest. So this is what you've got here. You've got You got 3 pins right there. and I'll show you where they go. Okay, so now that's done, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull this little screw out for the shot. You don't have to, but it does allow that to flex a little bit more. See there? So now you can just take this knuckle here, this whole assembly, slide it off. We'll set it aside. We're gonna go ahead and cover this inner real fast. So now, to pull this inner off, it is very simple. You're gonna want to take, and you see that Allen right there? You see that pin? That pin needs to come out. So I don't know if it'll come out past that bulkhead right there, but we're gonna give it a shot. That's a 2mm. So chuck up your 2, reach in, and take that loose. And then go ahead and take you a pair of needle nose. Yeah, it'll come right out of there. And there's a pin that holds it. And now it comes right off. That's all there is to this. So if you twisted this off, if you broke one of these universals right here, you broke the pin, you slung it, you split this, you're going to grab your new one now, and you're going to just literally put it right back on the way that it was. Okay, so when you put this back in, you've got a non-threaded side and you've got a threaded side. When you put this back in, you want the threaded side facing you, because when you put this pin in, you see there, your threaded side screws in right there. It does not do any good to put Loctite or anything on here, because that Loctite is not going to work on plastic. So put it in, get it snug, don't strip it. So we're going to go back with our threaded side facing us, just the way it came out. You can see the hole right there. We're just going to take and line it up. And I'm going to take this pin, I'm going to take my 2mm, and I'm going to do it just like this, so that I can poke it in there. I'm going to look down and see when it's lined up. Shove it in. We got it started. And then you're gonna, you know what? I'm gonna run this in by hand. I don't want to take any chances, because there's not much meat to those threads. So we'll take and run it in by hand. And it's tight. And that's it. That's all there is to replacing that inner half shaft. So I'm going to move the truck out of the way, and we're going to get this guy taken care of. Okay, so you got this now. You want to change this part. You have something broken here. So what you're going to do is take your flathead screwdriver. You need to pop this off. So reach back behind here, give it a twist. See that little pin? Don't lose that pin. Now at this point, this will come right out of here. Just push on the front side a little bit, or pull on it. It'll come right out, probably with a bearing. Yeah, see that bearing came out with it. When you put your new one in, be sure you take this bearing off, unless you're replacing the bearing as well. Take this bearing and put it on your new axle. This bearing, you'll just have to do the same thing with it. You can reach right back in there. You take your screwdriver, pry on it, and just keep doing that until you walk it all the way off of there. There. You put it back on the same way. You just take and push it on, and that will pop all the way on, nice and tight. See how it's flush there? And then you literally, if you're reusing this bearing, be sure it's smooth. If you're using that bearing, of course, be sure it's smooth. Put this back in the same way. Really, that bearing, I mean, you can put the bearing back on here if it comes off that way, or you can take and push it down inside that cup. Either way, it's going back in where it needs to be. So you're going to take, push that back in, and you feel that. I don't even feel it, but can you hear? Listen, that is the bearing seating back into a knuckle where it goes. So either way, you can do it either way. So now you got that little hole there. So you're going to take this cross pin, put it in there sideways so that it doesn't fall out. Just like that. You're going to take and line this up with it and put it back on. Like that. And be sure that it's lined up, and then these can be hard to put back on when they're brand new. So usually what I do is I'll stand it up on my table like this, and I'll have to tap them on just a little bit. See if I can use this old XMAXX deal to push it back on. There. You see how tight they are? If you have like a socket or something, you can put a socket over it, stand it on your table, and just push down on it tight. Or you can take a pair of pliers and tap it down, whatever it takes. You can even put this on last. What you can do is put it all the way on, put this little hex on, and then put your wheel on, and then you can just tighten your nut on, and it'll actually pull it in. You'll hear it pop. But that's not the good way to do it, because you could have that pin out of alignment, and then you can crack or you can mess up that hex. So by all means, try to get it on and try to get it to pop into place. All right, so now go ahead and grab your new part, and now this will only go in here one way. This only fits one way. This is, see how this is way sloppy, so it'll only go one way. Now you're going to take, index your two halves and slide them together. You're going to have a line, see that line going up and down there? And you're going to have one on here also. That's an index mark. You want to line them up. So what you can do is just take this one, put it straight up at 12, take this one at 12, and it'll slide right on. If it doesn't slide on, it's wrong. Now if this is a worn part, you can get it indexed the wrong way and it's just really tight, but you don't want that. You want it to slide nice and smoothly. So if you try putting this on the wrong way, it won't go. So what you can do is just, you know, just keep turning it until it goes on, or just line your marks up. So now you're going to take the meatier part of this. When I say meatier, I mean the wider part, put it towards the bottom. You're going to grab your medium-sized pin. You've got 3 different lengths. 1, 2, 3. You're going to grab this medium one. Put this in place. That pin goes in from the front, facing the back. Just like that there. Now you've got that in place, and you can go ahead and, at this point, go ahead and take your upper arm. Be sure your shock gets put back where it belongs, because once you have your arm on, you can't do it. So you're going to take your arm, and you're going to put it on just like that. It only goes one way too. You can't put it on the wrong way. So put your arm in. You can go ahead and place that one there where it belongs. It's going to be the shortest one. Goes in from the back. Poke it into place, and then you're going to have your longest pin right here left over, and it will go in right here. So you're going to take your arm, line it up where it belongs, slide it right into place. Then last, you have your shock. Push this tire underneath where it lets that suspension relax. Look at the other shock location. It's using the inside hole. You've got one over here and you've got one here. So we're going to use the inside screw hole location. Just pick up on it, get it into place. Just be patient with it. You'll get that hollow ball position just right, and it'll go right into place. There it is. Okay, and then we're going to take that screw and put it in. And now go ahead and take our 2mm. I already had it in a hand driver, so I'm just going to run it in by hand. Okay, now go ahead and grab your 2.5, chuck it up. Let's tighten up the upper inner and the upper outer pins. There we go. Got that. We've already got the shock tight. Now I'm going to turn this a little bit. We need to tighten that one up there, so I'm going to chuck up my 2.5 and my Hypertough, because it'll fit in between that front tire just barely, but it will fit. Okay, we've got that back in. Now our suspension is all back together, just like it was. So now let's go ahead and put our tire on. Let's go ahead and put a little drop of Loctite on this stub shaft, just like that. Always put some Loctite on there, because the inside of this wheel is plastic. The wheel hex is plastic. If it gets loose, it can wall it around and it'll completely strip it out. This is a stripped out one off my XMAXX, and you don't want that because it destroyed the wheel as well. So we're going to go ahead and take our wheel, our nut, the little red plastic deal. If you took off more than one tire, see how you got an arrow on there? Arrow needs to face the front of the truck. So we'll take that, put it right back on. Be sure the hex is engaged. This is your 8mm. Tighten it back up, get it good snug. Alright, got that all back on. Last but not least, we're going to put our bumper back in place here. So if you guys remember now, we have 3 screws. 1, 2, and then 3 right there. So I'm going to take dump those screws back out. You may have to push down on this a little bit, kind of tweak it to get this to go back inside here, but it'll go. So do that. We'll start with the bottom. Push down, push it right in. There it is, just like that there. So we'll put those 2 lower screws in, and then we'll put in that top one, and we're done. So go ahead and chuck up your 2.5. The long screw goes up in the top, in the shock towers, right here. Right there, and then we'll put our 2 lowers in, and we're home free. There we go. Don't get them too tight. Okay, that's snugged back up. That's it, guys. She's all done. Everything's back on just like it should be. No squeaks, no rattles. Good to go. Let's go ahead and get him dressed back up for action. And he is ready to go play. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope this really helped you guys out. Like, comment, subscribe. It means a lot to me. The more likes and comments and more subscriptions I get, obviously the more and more videos I do. I'm going to try to cover, I will cover every subject on the MAXX on every vehicle that I own. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. This is the 4th video I've done today. But looking for something else, just take a look in the MAXX playlist, and hopefully you guys find what you need. Thanks for coming. Let me see what else I'm going to do to this guy for you guys. What can we do next?